Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald is coming out later this year, and to celebrate that, I wanted to do reviews of all the Harry Potter movies, including the first Fantastic Beasts movie, and to start off, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, the thing that started it all. And it was directed by Chris Columbus and starred Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, Alan Rickman, Robbie Coltrane, Maggie Smith, Ian Hart, John Hurt, Richard Griffiths, Fiona Shaw, and Richard Harris. So, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, and it's Philosopher's, not Sorcerer's Stone, no matter what American audiences would like to tell you. It took a bit of a while to get to the screen. The first book was written in 1997, and Warner Brothers went through a lot of different directors, and I mean a lot of really different directors before they finally settled on Chris Columbus. The biggest push was for Steven Spielberg, who dropped out to do AI and artificial intelligence. There was also Terry Gilliam, which would have been a really weird movie. Jonathan Demme, Alan Parker, Rob Reiner, Peter Weir, and M. Night Shyamalan. Chris Columbus was selected, I think, because he was friends with Spielberg. Spielberg obviously told him about the project and said, hey, you could probably be the best fit for it. Warner Brothers also probably selected him because they saw what he's done before with Home Alone and Mrs. Doubtfire, which are family movies that returned a large chunk of investment on the box office, and they thought, yeah, perfect, that's exactly what we want for Harry Potter. Chris Columbus has never been a particularly subtle or incredibly exciting storyteller. All of his movies just feel kind of, alright, here we go, here's some characters, here's a story. I don't really feel like that's a fit for Harry Potter, which is meant to be magical and expansive and give you such fantastic imagery and characters you can really relate to, whether you be a child or an adult, and should really astound you with how much it can put on screen that you've never seen before. That's what the later films would really do very well. Philosopher's Stone just kind of says, alright, let's do a lot of what the book is and not make it our own thing. Chris Columbus instead chooses to just put in a lot of different scenes that don't really have a lot of connection to the larger story. There's not a clear idea of what Harry is going through in this first movie. There's not that much emphasis on him dealing with his parents having been gone these many years, and now he's in the same place that they walk through. There's tiny little parts that delve on that, which are the best parts, but there's just not enough to make that the central theme. It's not entirely about his friends. It's not entirely about the professors that he's interacting with. Yes, there's a particular mystery that Harry, Hermione, and Ron are trying to solve. That's also a weak story because we don't even know who Nicholas Flamel is. He's talked about a lot as being important, but you never see him, which is really weird. This movie is just a lot of different scenes that, sure, for someone like me who's grown up with these movies and has read all the books that became a really important part of my childhood, going back and watching this movie, oh look, there's this nice little part, I remember that, that's cool. However, take the nostalgia goggles off and it doesn't work. A lot of the storytelling of this movie is either really bland or just really awkward. A lot of really abrupt editing as well. There's particular sequences which will be really big and really expansive and make you think, wow, that actually looks really cool. And then it'll just cut off really suddenly to the next scene without any kind of dissolve or a natural progression, a natural flow of the story. Also, yeah, I'm glad that Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and Emma Watson would become better actors because, oof, man, the first movie, they're interesting. A lot of it is just Rupert Grint making a weird face like, or Hermione just being really precocious, like, it's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Daniel Radcliffe as well, he, again, is trying. He does a good job under the weight of this story and what will become a franchise pretty much built on his face and his shoulders. But the side performances from the adult actors are better, just because they're more experienced. Alan Rickman is still great as Professor Snape. Richard Harris, I'm sad that he passed away. And also Ian Hart. He's only in this first movie, he plays Professor Quirrell. I think he probably does the best job out of anyone. Like, at first he's all...
Harry Potter, can't tell you how pleased I am to meet you.
As soon as you realize that he's harboring Voldemort on the back of his head, and he's the servant to the Dark Master, he suddenly becomes this incredible over-the-top but awesome figure.
Come here, Potter! Now!
I can't take my eyes off. I love watching him in those final moments. I think he's probably the best performance in this movie. He doesn't get a lot of praise. He also did the voice for Voldemort well before Ralph Fiennes was cast as the character. Ian Hart did that voice, and he does it really, really well. There's also, sure, a lot of stuff that I like about this movie. It's stuff that would become a staple for the series. John Williams' music is absolutely perfect in every single way. You hear first few notes of that score, you know instantly that's Harry Potter. That's magic. It gets you into that mood. It creates a certain feeling that only John Williams can create. I love the cinematography by John Seale. He uses lighting and composition and the placement of actors, particularly in the night and snow scenes. John Seale made this movie look magical, look ethereal. It had a particular mood to it, which was needed. The costuming is pretty good, except it's a little bit simple compared to where they would go on, again, with the other movies. Here it feels like they kind of just Googled witch and wizard costumes and put a lot of the background actors in those kind of costumes. That's just how I see it. But the visuals just don't hold up. There's some that are really good. I think that Fluffy, for example, still looks great. But the Quidditch scenes and just the Quidditch game itself is probably the most inconsequential, unimportant story part of this movie and also of Chamber of Secrets. It only took me until now to realize Quidditch might be the dumbest game, because you have all these players who are meant to be throwing the quaffle through the hoops and they win 10 points and there you go. But then also the Seeker has to get the snitch and they win 150 points and that wins the game. So, one, why do you need other players when the Seeker is the most important part and they're the ones who are actually going to win the game? Secondly, why make the quaffle be worth 10 points when it goes through the hoop when you're going to have the snitch win 150 points and therefore win the game? Third, why make it win 150 points? Why don't just say it's going to win the game? There's no purpose for it to be worth 150 points unless there's some like other scoring system outside of it. Like if you get a certain amount of points, then you get something else. I don't really know. Never explained. And fourth, why even have the whole Seeker has to get the snitch while the other players do it? Why can't you just not do that? Why can't you have everyone trying to throw the ball through the hoop? It's like playing a football game and then you have to have a treasure hunt on the other side with the captains playing the treasure hunt, and if they find the treasure then they win the game while the other players do the normal football game. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, it still holds a little great part of me because I grew up with it. I grew up with these movies, grew up with the books. You know, I remember watching the movie for the first time, and there's a lot of parts that I really, really love. The music, the cinematography, production design, costuming, sound, some of the performances are all really good. However, just rewatching it recently at this age, I see a lot more of the flaws, and it might be the worst Harry Potter movie. I don't know. I'll have to watch the rest of them as we go on with this review series every month. But for now, yeah, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, very awkward, very weird. Chris Columbus was obviously not the right kind of fit to start off what will become one of the biggest and most influential franchises in pop culture history. If you are a Harry Potter fan, then you'll probably be like me and still watch this movie and hold that sweet place in your heart for, I remember when I watched this as a kid. In the end, I'll still say Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone is worth watching, but just know it might not hold up as well as you might remember. So Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, have you seen it? What did you think about it? What did you think about this review? Let me know in the comments below. I'm going to do reviews for Harry Potter movies once every month leading up to Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. And if you want more Mr. Movies, click the link coming up right here. And thanks for watching.